Hey guys, Eric and Joshua here. We are going to talk about Jessica Jones. We're not going to get into spoilers, but we've seen the first 7 episodes of this thing. And
jealous. No.
So
you will be by the end of this video.
Yeah. So we want to give you our impressions of those first 7 episodes. We'll certainly have more to come on Jessica Jones, including our full sort of reaction after we've seen all 13. But for me, I love what I've seen so far. I love those episodes, and I would say this is really something different and sort of stand out for Marvel. And I'd say if you're a Marvel fan, this is something you should definitely check out. What do you think, Joshua?
I'm right there with you. You know, if you thought Daredevil sort of like pushed the boundaries of what Marvel can do, you ain't say nothing yet.
Yeah. This is really, when Daredevil came out, we're all like, oh wow, this is much more violent and just obviously tonally
Yeah, it's very
darker.
adult, very grim.
But this goes really far.
It goes there.
Yeah.
I suppose you could just say it's very adult.
Right.
A big part of Jessica Jones' story is sort of like her sexuality and like the sort of like sexual politics and relationships and stuff. And this, I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say, is that Luke Cage is also in this.
Yeah.
And she has a romance with him. But if you have super strength and stuff like Jessica Jones, it's hard to have a physical relationship with somebody. When you meet someone else who can match your speed, then you can finally kind of like let loose.
Yes.
So that's that's just one kind of element of the story, and one of many different things that her story touches on. That's just kind of refreshing, but also kind of surprising to see from a Marvel property.
Yeah, it's very frank in that regard. I guess I would say if you're a Marvel fan, you should definitely check this out, unless you're a kid.
Yeah, don't let a kid watch this. It's not for kids.
No, let a kid watch this. It really doesn't hold back on sort of dealing with. She's a very one thing I like is that she's a very flawed hero. You know, she's got this dark past where she tried to be a superhero kind of, and she's a hard drinker. She's very much a sort of detective noir story. I really like the opening credits because they evoke that. And she is kind of a mess, but not irredeemably. She's trying to do sort of the right thing in her own way. But I like that. Yeah, it really doesn't try to make it a bright and sunny depiction of her life.
And her personality is also something. It's just she's not charming like Robert Downey Jr. But I would almost put her performance right up there with his as just this. Really she's humorous, right? But she's also very mean. She's very blunt. She's
very sardonic.
And no nonsense. So she's just, again, just kind of a different character type for us to like latch onto and just watch sort of her screwed up life unfold.
Yeah, and I would say when Kristen Ritter was cast, I think there was sort of mixed reaction in that, if you knew a lot of her work, you'd seen her be sort of funny and dark and sardonic, especially Don't Trust the Bee, which she's very good in. But then there was the whole but she's supposed to have this sort of superhero background, and physically that's weird with her. But I think she's really good in this. I think she really does deliver. She's not like a big buff girl, but at the same time there is sort of like the I have superpowers out. It's not like she's supposed to have been like physically training in a gym somewhere. And I really liked her. I think the performances are all very good. It's really like Daredevil, it's very grounded and very sort of gritty New York. And then we should mention Kilgrave, the villain, David Tennant, because he's certainly, on one respect, he is the most bigger than life part of the show, in that he's got this like mental mind control power. You have to do anything he says, but the way they depict it, like the comics, is so sort of twisted and spooky.
Yeah, he is. We were all really impressed with Kingpin, right?
Yeah.
Like Wilson Fisk, and it's like, one of the best Marvel villains. I feel like he's like right up there. Again, we've only seen the first 7 episodes, but even just having seen that, he makes a huge impression.
Yeah.
He haunts Jessica through this. He doesn't even have a lot of screen time at first, but you know who he is, and you can like feel his vibe. It's almost like a chill like down your spine. And he is one of the most disgusting, just like invasive villains that we've seen, and it's really something else.
It really is. Like Alias, the comic this is based on, they took a character, Purple Man as he's called in the comics, who had been around for decades and was like, oh, he can control people, but he'd never been used in any significant way. And they really looked at the reality of that, like this show does, of what if this sort of low-life scum could make anyone do whatever he wanted? And he doesn't have aspirations of world domination. He just makes people do things, and it gets really, really twisted, Yes.
He has like no values of people. Like he doesn't like like he's out to just get exactly what he wants, no matter how other people like have to suffer, and it's really like hard to watch.
It is.
And I found myself holding my breath of just because turn any corner and he could be there and he can control people, so he could even send someone after you. And so just watching the show made me like a wreck.
Yeah, there's a lot of sort of paranoia that's like part of the story, because wouldn't you have paranoia if this guy was out there? And yeah, it works really well. And again, we don't want to get into sort of full plot spoilers, so I'll be vague here, but I'll say that I like how they sort of touched upon Marvel without being, this is not, the Avengers aren't showing up here.
Yeah.
But it doesn't ignore the fact that it's set in the same universe as the Avengers specifically, and that if Luke Cage and Jessica Jones have superpowers, they're still fairly unique in this universe. And what that means. And even the way they use, say, Trish Walker, as she called here, Patsy Walker in the comics, Hellcat, I thought it was really kind of cool how they, in the comics she has no connection to Jessica, but what they did here was they took elements of the comics and they gave it sort of a new angle that I thought worked within the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the way they were introducing these characters.
Yeah, I really enjoyed how, Jessica Jones, it's obviously her show, and she's like the main arc and everything, but every character is so well taken care of. Hellcat is getting like this great arc, and Carrie-Anne Moss is in this. Like, she has this really like interesting like dramatic role.
Yeah.
Luke Cage, who he's gonna get his own series later on, but still we're getting to know him like really well. And so everything, it's just really well written, really well structured. Every character feels like a main character. Like no one is there by accident. You know what I mean? So the whole, just like Luke Skywalker missing from the trailer. From,
right.
Star Wars. But yeah, so it's really well put together, really well written, and really compelling. You can't wait to watch the next one in true Netflix fashion.
Yeah. I'll protect you there from anyone saying spoilers on Hellcat. He's just using Hellcat for the comic book purposes because she's Trish.
Yeah, sorry. I know her as Hellcat. We go way back.
We go way back. But yeah, everything you said, it really, I binged those 7 episodes because, it's very compelling and it really grabs you. And like you said, it's uncomfortable sometimes, but in a fascinating way, if that makes sense, which I think for some people who like dark things, it will. So it's so far, I am very intrigued. I have to commend Marvel for even willing to kind of go there. There's some other things that I won't get into specifics, but are really like controversial things that they even touch upon in this. That I was like, wow, they're really going there.
There will be some talking points coming out of Jessica Jones.
Yeah, definitely. So that's our first impressions. We have plenty more to talk about. Show's coming on November 20th. I think everyone's going to be home that weekend watching a lot of Jessica Jones. So for plenty more on Jessica, Marvel, Netflix, all those great things and more, keep it here at IGN.